Welcome to Zcast, everyone. I'm Z. Escaravallo from ZK Research, and I'm here at RSA 2024 in San Francisco at the Moscone Center. I'm joined today by Haim Mazal. You are the CISO at Gigamon. Haim, this is your first appearance on Zcast, so happy to have you. Just a quick bio on yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Haim Mazal. I'm a Chief Security Officer at Gigamon. So my responsibilities at Gigamon are securing our product, our corporate infrastructure, as well as our IT environments. And so really excited to be part of a great mission statement of securing the world's largest, most complex networks and serving some of the largest organizations in the world.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to having this conversation because you have a big role, right? And one of the things I like about Gigamon is you play in the visibility space, which is core to a lot of the themes I've seen here at RSA 2024, including visibility, or AI, zero trust, things like that. So I want to dive a little deeper with you on the topic of zero trust. So let's go down to the show floor and have a conversation down there, though.
Awesome, let's take a look.
Okay. Well, Haim, I think a good place to start the conversation on zero trust is, what is it, right? This is one of these taglines, unfortunately, that many vendors use, and it's, I see zero trust this, zero trust that. But definitionally, how do you think about what zero trust is?
Absolutely, definitely a hype phrase. So I think that it's a government dictate, but really what it is, it's a comprehensive plan, a layered approach to how we view security. That means looking at the network level, looking at the asset level, and then looking at the identity level, and having comprehensive visibility and security controls layered on. Zero trust is definitely not a product, right? Yeah. It's definitely a concerted effort through a couple pillars that we can help to achieve end-to-end security across a multitude of environments.
So when I think of zero trust, I actually think about it a little more simply, in that it's a fundamental change to the way we think about networking. When you think about the internet, it works really well because it's built on the premise that everything can talk to everything. With zero trust, it seems, we've almost flipped that model around, where nothing can talk to anything unless explicitly allowed. Is that a good way to think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to say that we're going to give implicit trust to nothing, and we're going to have a validate and verify approach going forward. And that could be from, again, at the network level to the asset level to identity level. We have to make sure there's a comprehensive plan to be able to allow that interconnectivity and communication that's led by a couple different methodologies. One could be cert-based. There's new policy engines that are helping to dictate, but there's a lot of emerging technologies that are continuing to push the envelope for how we allow that segmentation and communication on the premise of everything is malicious traffic.
All right, Haim. Well, continue our discussion here. When you think of zero trust and what Gigamon does in the area of visibility, what's the role of visibility in zero trust? I'm looking for that intersection point.
Yeah. So one of the key pillars in zero trust is visibility, and visibility is all-encompassing. It is included in all the other pillars. So basically being able to plug in the appropriate data sets across the appropriate environments to get real-time feedback in relation to your security, your defense in depth and security posture. So what does that mean? That means taking real-time network level telemetry that's immutable, right, and being able to feed it into the right tools at the right time so you can get the right insights across all of your visibility platforms. So that means, whether we're talking about your security operations team, your network operations team, or any of your other key operational tooling to get the right data to be able to make the right decisions that give you the right feedback. So Gigamon really focuses on having that end-to-end steel thread of having a unified data set across all your items in real time.
Okay, well, given how much momentum there's been with zero trust and how much vendor washing, if you want to call it that, there's been, what's holding companies back today? Why isn't it a lot more widely deployed than it is?
I think one thing that we can guarantee for established organizations is complexity, right?
Yeah.
The more successful you are, the more complex your environments are. So a lot of times it's difficulty of implementation. Right? It's a pretty big initiative that covers a myriad of different methodologies, and thinking about how you can responsibly plug in all of those data sets, all of those controls across all your environments is a pretty daunting task. But with the right tooling, you can have additional insight and visibility that will help you and allow you to do it in a much easier capacity. And I think that's one of the other strong points of Gigamon, is that it helps you architecturally map out your best way to achieve zero trust in complex environments, whether that's cloud or on-premise.
And part of the way you do that is through partnerships.
Absolutely.
Like, for example, we did stop in for the Xrop booth. You have a partnership with them. Talk about that relationship between you and Xrop, how you two work together.
Absolutely. So one of the big things is being able to take your different security tooling and providers and being able to plug them into that comprehensive overview. So taking something like an NDR, network detection and response tool, and being able to take all of the pertinent information across all your environments and fine tune it so your security operations teams can be more successful, we think that that's a very strong value proposition. So that's why we partner with Xrop and a whole bunch of other leading security providers.
Now, one of the important components of Zero Trust is microsegmentation.
Absolutely.
Now, it's funny you bring up complexity because I think microsegmentation is very powerful.
Absolutely.
A lot of companies tell me they can kind of get it set up to start, but in dynamic environments, it doesn't. It's very difficult to change. So when I've talked to customers, a lot of their best plans, have gone awry, and those initiatives have failed. How does visibility help them with microsegmentation?
Yeah, I think microsegmentation is critical and a key component to Zero Trust. But obviously, a lot of companies have difficulty with it because they lack that visibility. And network segmentation isn't a silver bullet within itself, right? Because there's a lot of network pivoting, there's a lot of east-west traffic, there's a lot of obfuscation via encrypted traffic, and without having the appropriate visibility to that, right, network segmentation doesn't take you very far. So being able, one, to map out and route patterns in your traffic across your network is key. GigaVUE helps with that. And then number two, being able to have identification of lateral movement across your network via east and east-west traffic is also critical. And then also being able to look within this microsegmentation and look at the encrypted traffic and be able to decipher whether or not something is malicious or not on the fly with our decryption product is something that we strongly believe in. So all of these things we believe help lift up microsegmentation within the Zero Trust framework.
So where I find a lot of companies struggle with microsegmentation is in dynamic environments.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not going to say it would be easy to set up in a static environment. It's still very difficult. But as soon as you start to have a lot of moving parts, it gets more difficult. And so I think from what you described there, in a highly dynamic environment, you provide the visibility to at least let them know what's changed and how to change it. Right?
Absolutely. In real time, again, dynamic environments for organizations that move fast, there is no easy way to implement these things without having the visibility of ongoing changes through some kind of tooling. And so GigaVUE lends itself by giving commonly used routes and traffic and changes as they happen in real time to network operations teams, to security operations teams, so they can figure out the right approach to network segmentation for their organization as they continue to grow their product lines.
Okay, now drill down a little bit more too on GigaVUE and stuff. You guys have been using the term deep observability, which is, I think, obviously plays off the observability hype that we've seen. But how are you differentiating deep observability versus the way a lot of other vendors use from observability?
Absolutely. So deep observability is us taking all of your observability tooling, all of those metrics, and enhancing them through data pipelines with immutable network traffic that can uniformly be applied across the board. And what that means is taking certain level traffic and telemetry and being able to enhance all of your observability tools and all of your security tools in real time. And what does that mean? That means network flows and routing traffic that's important to those tools and not everything else, which means cost savings and effectiveness. And it also means being able to make sure that your security operations team is taking actionable items against data that matters, right? Which means reduction in false positives and reduction of instances of alerting that might not be important to you or that you might not find useful.
And how important is that for companies in the overall desire to try and simplify security, right?
Yeah. So,
because I've talked to some customers where, they've, and it seems like companies spend way more money on security than they ever have.
Yeah.
Breaches still happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of CISOs, I'm sure you've found this, complain that they just don't get the bang for the buck.
Absolutely.
And part of it is it's gotten too complicated.
Absolutely. So we have unique tools for unique challenges. We have resource constraints. We have loads and loads of data. We have log fatigue, and there's not a tremendous way in a lot of instances for teams to be successful bringing all of those scenarios into play. So what that means is simplifying what our tools ingest, making sure that it's valuable, it's important, and that we can also go ahead and effectively send that data where we need it to go and not have exorbitant ingress or egress charges from data environment to data environment. So really, it's taking valuable information across all of your assets, right? Whether that's your, again, network operations tooling, security operations tooling, application visibility tooling, and making sure you're feeding them the right data from the right places and helping your team to be successful in their mission statement of securing and operationalizing your environments.
And so as companies do that, obviously AI is going to play a bigger role.
Absolutely.
And that's actually, it's, you look around the booth here and there's AI here, AI there. Where are customers' heads with AI? Are they excited about it with security, scared of it? Is it something they're testing the waters on? It seems, I hear a lot of hype from the vendor community.
Absolutely.
But when I talk to customers, there's not a lot of deployments that I've seen.
Yeah. So I think it's multi-pronged. I think, again, there is the product portion, which is being hyped quite a bit right now in the industry. So AI, so machine learning, data science has been around probably for the last 10 years, and a lot of technologies have been utilizing it, but I think because of generative AI, there's been a big emphasis on it recently. But I think we're watching security teams start to utilize it for their effectiveness and process and procedures, and the ability to be able to garner and produce more results with less investment, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, my feeling is if the bad guy's using AI, it's a little bit of fight fire with fire.
Oh, absolutely.
It was like early in the cloud cycle when the threat actors started leveraging the cloud, right? That you really couldn't then try and secure your enterprise using a lot of old on-prem techniques. And so I do think that security pros tend to be fairly conservative. No offense. Sometimes you fight change, but I think of AI as maybe the most powerful tool that a security pro has had.
Listen, I think this has exponentiated the volume of attacks that take place against organizations every day. The ability to automate and to take high-level and low-level attacks and simply, automate them from every single perspective across the gauntlet. So what does that mean? That means more notifications. That means more alerting. That means more log fatigue, more inundation. And so I think one of the big portions is how we combat that is, again, by leveraging automation and AI internally ourselves, and also using the right tooling like Gigamon to be able to say, like, hey, these alerts are important, this data set is important, this piece of information doesn't have to go to 18 places, it can go to 2, and being able to make it more manageable for our teams in real time. As the threat landscape continues to increase, being able to create efficiencies within our teams to respond in an effective way is critical. I think Gigamon really lends itself to that.
Yeah, in fact, I've talked to some people that were worried that AI is going to take their job. Yeah. What I tell them is, you're not going to lose your job to AI. Yeah. You're going to lose your job to a security engineer that uses AI.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Right. So I talked about this a lot too. I think it's just going to up-level the skill set. Yeah. So again, this is not replacing engineers. This is not replacing security professionals. But this is helping up-level the skill set at the entry level, just allowing us to be better.
All right, Chaim. Well, let's bring this home for my audience. And we've talked a lot about AI, observability. For companies looking to move forward with Zero Trust, what are some best practices that you can recommend?
I think it's taking a layered approach and going back to basics, really focusing on IT hygiene, simple things like vulnerability management, identity and access management, patching, and looking at creating a comprehensive overview of all your assets, right? It's hard to secure what you can't see and what you don't have insight into, and being able to fully map out what's important, the criticality of your assets, and then coming up with a layered approach on how you're going to secure them, I think is really the winning game plan here.
It's interesting that through all the security innovation we've had over the years, better visibility, defense in depth with a layered approach has always been the right answer. 100%. And I guess in this case, you're saying use those best practices that you've adhered to, all throughout your career.
Absolutely.
But apply it to this point.
100%. MFA everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Like security doesn't have to be that complicated.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, it's just it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on, and I just want to say Gigamon helps secure the world's largest, most secure, complex networks, and we can help you too. Reach out.
And if people want to learn more about Gigamon, they go to?
Yeah, go to gigamon.com.
Well, that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So, guys, on behalf of Haim Mazal, I'm Zias Karaval from ZK Research, and thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on my next episode of Zcast.